Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
You can't use that word! Only we can use that word!
It's time for the Jedi to end.
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate, featuring your hosts, JT. I mean, they killed his mother. What's he supposed to do? Send him a postcard? I wish you wouldn't have done that. AJ.
I'm on Facebook, man! Hey, Mom, check me out!
Steve.
Sir, you have a parasol on your face. Please do not tell me what I should and should not like, sir. Thank you.
It really was. On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, JT and AJ return from Star Wars Celebration Orlando, and they've got a lot of stories to tell.
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. Hopefully my microphone is working this time, unlike the last show.
What do you mean? It sounded great, like we were doing it from a tin can and a string.
I was across the room recording. What the hell? I'm your host, JT. With me is Steve. AJ's with us via Skype because...
Skype Walker.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Because life.
AJ was out doing business, and he was a little bit late. So he had to Skype in from home, but why would
we've had the equipment to do this for well over a year, so it's about time someone got to use it.
Yeah, I could do it from home. I've Skyped into other podcasts, so I know what I'm doing there. That might be I think that's the only thing I know how to do better than you guys.
Probably.
I'm a remote veteran now. I did a Google Hangouts with Blockade Runner last week, so.
Well, there you go. Speaking of Blockade Runner.
See, I'm just afraid to do the Skype thing because then we're never going to sit down at this table again.
I know, right? No, I prefer sitting at the table. So it's like working from home. Like I have that option, but I don't like it. So you will always have me here as long as I can make it.
Sounds good.
But yeah, speaking of Blockade Runner, we did meet John in person for the first time this past week at Star Wars Celebration Orlando. AJ and I made the... God, what was it? 18-hour drive or something when all was said and done.
Mm-hmm.
And we
pilgrimage.
Yeah, really pilgrimage. And we're still saddened by the fact that it's over. It seems to get worse every time, doesn't it, AJ? You're like, God, I know Sunday's going to suck, but it just gets more and more sad. You're like, damn it, why can't this keep going? It seems to be like 2 weeks or something.
Honestly, with me being a Disney nerd, it's like when I go down to Disney for a week, it's usually like Thursday when when you're past the peak and you're going down, you only have like a day or two and you start to get that pit in your stomach. And then like last day, you're just...
You're all bummed out.
You're just mad and you can't even enjoy yourself all that much.
That's why I took an extra day off, that I didn't technically have to take. But first of all, I knew I'd be tired. So I had Tuesday. We got back like, what was it, AJ? Like 2:00 in the morning on Tuesday. Yeah. Something like that. And then, so I had all Tuesday off. And then I also took Wednesday off. So today was my first day back at work. But I just knew that not only would I be tired, but I would also be bummed out. So I don't want to rush right back into the real world. I need that day to kind of reacclimate myself to the fact that I just can't live in a world of Star Wars 24/7 all the time. So it was back to the grind. But anyways, we did go to Celebration, and I'm sure everybody's got their stories and people have heard the news, but we're going to give our own unique spin on what happened, what we saw, what we did. As usual, we were a couple of assholes a few times. So we had a particularly fun pizza incident. So, we did that. But anyways, so yeah, we did make the drive from Cleveland to Orlando with a stop off in Milford, which is a city just outside of Cincinnati, to pick up a friend. And he came out with us. So that was cool. And we got in about 4:30 last Tuesday to Orlando. And we ended up, of all things, kind of acting like we were still in Cleveland. We went down to the restaurant, the bar and restaurant down in the hotel lobby, and we started drinking beer, eating pizza, and watching the Indians home opener. So it was a little slice of home when we were, 18 hours away. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Exactly. But it was great pizza, though. I mean, everything was so expensive because you're in the hotel, but that pizza actually was affordable, and it was very good. I was kind of surprised. So that was a nice. It wasn't a harbinger of things to come in terms of bar tabs and restaurant bills, but it was at least a good start. Saved us some money right off the bat, so that was good. But yeah, the event was Thursday through Sunday, so we obviously were there. We were there all 4 days. A lot of stuff came out. I think obviously the biggest news. Well, actually, what was the biggest news? Was it George Lucas, Harrison Ford, and John Williams, or was it the Episode 8 trailer? What do you guys think?
I think we lost AJ.
Really? He's gonna have to call back in. Look at that. All right. Well, let's get him back on the line.
Yeah. What was the biggest news then? That's
what I meant. What do you think it was? Like, what's your opinion?
Did it with Lucas and Harrison Ford and all that showing up to Celebration for once? Like, probably that. Honestly,
that's what I thought too. And see, this is the thing. Like, I totally kicked myself because on Wednesday night, I was going to get in line and wait for the panel. That was what I was going to do. I decided I'm going to go overnight. I'm going to finally do this. Nobody else wanted to do it with me. So I was like, screw this. I'm doing it. Well, the line started at 8:00, but okay, it was supposed to start at 8:00. And they had said that local security and Celebration staffers were going to keep an eye on the line and make sure that anybody showing up before 8 would be dispersed so that no one could get there, like 4 PM and camp out and all that stuff. Well, they didn't do that.
Of course not.
And there wasn't a ton of people, but there were some people that got there earlier. So right about 8:30, I was about to head out of the hotel room and go do it. And I hadn't seen much of the group because they all went to Daytona Beach during the day. And when we got in, we were hanging out, eating pizza and stuff. But then that night I kind of went out and was like walking around myself. So I decided at the last minute on Wednesday night that I was going to be a team player. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to watch it in the hotel room with everybody else.
What?
I'm going to be
sorry. I'm testing audio in the middle of the show. Don't mind me.
So I decided I was going to be a team player and I was going to watch it with the group. And we wake up and we turn the feed on and we had it going on both my tablet and AJ's computer. So we had a good amount of coverage for it. So of course, the first thing that happens is George Lucas comes out. Like, I knew it. So, not that it was, that big of a surprise, because I think everybody by the time, Celebration arrived knew that was what was going to happen. So George Lucas comes out and I'm like, damn it. All right. So the panel's going on. And then Warwick Davis says, we've got, we're up here with Lando Calrissian and Luke Skywalker and Chewbacca and, all these things, it doesn't get more epic than this. Or maybe it does. And I went, don't even do it. And he announces Harrison Ford, and I just hollered in the room. I was so pissed.
I know. I was going to ask you how pissed you were about not being in that room.
Dude, I was furious with myself because it's like I was trying to do the right thing and not be selfish, like not be a douchebag. And I ended up completely screwing myself. It's like, doggone it. So that sucked. And then they get to the end and they announce John Williams and he starts playing the music. And I'm going, I can't believe I did this to myself. I can't believe it. But I did. So apparently I should have sucked it up, been a selfish prick, and gone to the panel because I would have seen George Lucas, Harrison Ford, and John Williams in the same room for the first time and probably only time ever at a convention like that.
Yeah, that's the Harrison Ford thing was huge. And then, like you said, the John Williams thing and all that. Like, well, hell, George was out there first, so I mean, that was pretty big in its own right there.
I was kind of surprised that they brought him out first, because that was kind of like one of those things where you would think that he would have been saved for last, but I guess in hindsight you could see why they did it that way.
Right.
His interview, for anybody who hasn't watched it, was really, really good, because he said a lot of stuff. He took a dig at the prequel haters, which I personally loved. He said a certain segment of the fan base is, can be pretty mean. And I'm like, good. Give him the finger, George. This is your platform. So that was pretty cool. And he had a lot to say that was very interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a lot that we hadn't heard, but he really just gave his overall opinion on what Star Wars meant, what it was supposed to be. And it was really cool to hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
So, and then to have everybody else up there was really cool. Mark Hamill had a microphone malfunction, so they had to keep turning him up because his mic wasn't working right. And I'm like, of all things to have happen, you couldn't get that worked out. So it was really interesting to, hear what he had to say. And I would like to repeat what I said previously, because AJ, you didn't hear this, but I love the part where he took a shot at the prequel haters. So that was particularly enjoyable.
George got in all the shots I hoped he would. Like, we had our little fan moment in our bonus episode predicting what the 40th anniversary panel was going to be. But to actually have him up on stage and have him say all the things that we wanted to hear him say, that we thought he might be too polite to say, that was a golden moment right there. That's a celebration memory forever.
Yeah, his honesty was amazing. It was very cool. He wasn't, he was very cool to the fans, but made sure to point out the ones that were a bunch of dicks, and it was cool. And I told Steve, as we were trying to get you back, that that it was just really cool to hear him synopsize Star Wars the way that he did. I mean, I don't think there was any earth-shattering information that he gave us. I mean, there was some different stuff that you haven't really heard him say very much, but other than that, he kind of just talked in generalities. But it was really cool because he really gave his perspective on exactly what Star Wars is, what it was supposed to be. And you haven't had a chance to hear that from him in a long time. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the main takeaway that I heard was when he said, and this isn't going to be very popular with some people. And I kind of braced myself like, oh boy, what's he going to say? What's he going to say?
Right.
He says, I made these films for kids. I made them for 12-year-olds. So if you're mad as an adult that I'm not making movies for you, it's because you're not 12 anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
straight up made no apologies. He's like, hey, I have a target audience, and the target audience is a fixed age range. You grew out of the age range. So if you don't like what I'm making, it's because you're too old.
Yeah. And my takeaway from that is that it's like, I've been accused of being, kind of just a big kid at heart. And that's probably why I still love Star Wars so much, because and the entire experience of Celebration is this. It does remind me of being a kid with that insane excitement about Star Wars that's always been with me. And so apparently, you got to be like a man child to really love Star Wars as an adult, I guess.
You don't have to explain anything to me. That's the exact feeling I get going into a Disney park. It's like, that's my thing, is like you revert to being 7 years old again or whatever. And it's like everything is automatically in your age range again.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, I mean, not to say that, we don't pay our bills and pay taxes and go to work, but it strips away responsibility for a week, and all you're worried about is just the thing that you are most passionate about.
Absolutely.
And I think George kind of nailed it in his comments that kind of proved that, yeah, that's why we feel this way about these movies. It was cool. And but yeah, AJ, I told the story about being in the hotel room and just wanting to shoot myself in the face with an elephant gun because I made the decision not to go to the panel.
Speaking of the panel and Harrison Ford being there, I just saw the little clip of him being on the Star Wars stage.
Yes.
And with George, and they asked him if he was excited to see the standalone Han Solo movie. And he's just like, not really.
Yeah. There's another guy who didn't pull any punches.
He's just like, nope, not really.
Yeah, that was
rousing endorsement, Harrison. Thanks. With George right there too.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm sure George Lucas is like, what the hell are they going to tell?
Yeah, right.
So that was one
way to toe the company line there, guy.
Exactly.
he is air quotes dead. So he's not in Star Wars anymore. So he can say whatever the hell he wants.
Like, my character's dead. I don't have to follow the line anymore. I don't work for you anymore.
Yep. I got to say that that was one of the coolest things that they did. They had the Star Wars live stage, and they had the cantina in Anaheim, and they, it was the first time they did the streaming. But they had that entire stage this time. And whenever they had one of the major panels, they would walk the dudes that did the panel, like straight from the panel, like a half hour later, they'd be on the Star Wars live stage. So people that couldn't get into the panel could watch it from the stage because they had a huge screen behind the stage. So that was cool. And then you got to actually be up close with the actors pretty soon after the panel. That's how I got like 10 feet from Mark Hamill on Sunday. Cause I was
before.
What was that?
Or before. I mean, that's why the Rebels panel started late, was because Steve Bloom was on the Star Wars set,
that's right.
And Dave Filoni was walking the show floor too.
Yeah.
I saw Steve Bloom up there at like 10:58. I'm looking at my watch going, he's a hell of a long way away from that Galaxy stage, and he's got 2 minutes to get there.
Yeah, I think Zeb's going to be late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing that too because I was tweeting a lot from our page over the weekend. I was trying to do some social media stuff, which I'm terrible at, but and I was
it looked horrible on my end, but then I'm like they're trying to enjoy Celebration too. They're not trying to work right now. So.
Yeah, I was just trying to put some stuff up there, some content, so people could see what it was like. But it was like 10:54, and it says like, Dave Filoni's tweeting like 2 minutes ago. I'm like, he's got a panel in 6 minutes. What the hell is this guy doing? So
I remember we tuned into the stream for that panel, and we tuned into the YouTube live stream. And like I said, I saw Zeb sitting there on the Star Wars stage with like 5 minutes to go before the panel. I'm like, oh, this must be like a repeat from yesterday or something. Like, there's no way that guy's on the stage right now. He's got to be over the other stage.
Nope.
They're just going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, though. I kind of like that, they try to organize it as best they can, but you know what? It's still a live show on the fly, and there's a lot of people who are just going to do what they're going to do. Like, you're not going to tell Dave Filoni, get your ass over to the stage. You're not going to tell Harrison Ford, talk up the new movie. You're going to get those moments that you would never have anywhere else.
Harrison Ford is going to give you the finger, like all those fan videos you see online where he's just like crustier than all holy get out.
Yeah. The spirit of Carrie Fisher is still alive and well in the people that carry on her defiant tradition.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, that thing that Mark Hamill said, about her and stuff was about looking down and giving him the finger and stuff. Like, that's so accurate.
Yep. That was speaking of Carrie Fisher, they did that little tribute to her in the 40th anniversary panel, and it was like when she passed away, it was sad, but I was never like, oh my God, this is killing me. Like, I'm going to cry. Like, it was just like, oh man, that's kind of sad. But this weekend, when you really see her impact on everything and you really realize, especially at a thing like Celebration, where she was so hands-on with the fans and everything, and you could really see her personality and who she really was, I got choked up when they did that tribute thing, because you really kind of see, you're like, oh man, there really is a giant hole in the franchise without her, being around.
Yeah. And
by my count, with 3 hours into the entire weekend, within the first 3 hours of all of Celebration, I had already cried tears of joy twice and tears of sadness once.
Right.
I was like, man, it's gonna be a long weekend.
Yeah. We watched the 40th anniversary panel all in the hotel room, and then we all headed down to the show floor, and it was kind of a cool moment because, and actually, let's address this, AJ. It was a damn good thing that we watched the panel in the room, because the opening day, Steve, they had a massive problem
with the entrances and stuff. Yeah, I was reading that.
No, not entrances. Entrance. They had one entrance open for like tens of thousands of people to get in. So by the time we got there, it had pretty much dispersed, although there were still people that had barely gotten in there. And we rolled in probably about 1:00. So the floor had already been open 3 hours, and there were people that are just getting in.
Who on earth would have thought that was a good idea to open one set of doors to get into that place?
I can't fathom it, especially because this time they were doing like metal detectors and all that other kind of stuff. There's a lot of security. And I mean, we go in a side entrance because at the Orlando Convention Center, it's actually attached to the Rosen Center Hotel. I mean, anybody who listened to the show back when I was trying to book hotels when this was announced, close to a year ago, knows that I was talking about that. And so we took the skywalk between the hotel and the convention center, which
so you kind of had like a VIP entry.
Yeah, well,
kinda.
Yeah, it's not a lot of people know that that's there. So there's no crowd. So we went there. So not only did we skip 3 hours of the convention but we also avoided whatever was left at the main entrance because we went up the side one. But it was a disaster to the point where they had to send a push notification to everybody that had a badge.
Wow.
That night that said, hey, we're aware of the problems getting in, and we're going to fix it for tomorrow.
That's what I saw on Twitter and stuff, that they put this like mass apology thing out, like, yeah, we're going to open 2 doors tomorrow.
Yeah.
Guys.
And it was, I think they had 3, and then by Saturday they had like basically everything. They had like 5 entrances or 4 entrances or something. But I mean, it was crazy, but we missed it all. Thank God, because what year? Which one was that, AJ? Do you remember where we got in that big room and we had to wait like 2.5 hours just to get in the first morning? It was in Orlando. Was that C6 or C5?
I think that was 6.
Okay.
Because the crowds have been growing every year we've gone. So
yeah.
I think it was the second one in Orlando, not the first one.
It was, because that's when I got that Millennium Falcon cookie. That's right. I got some girl.
That's right.
That's what you remember.
I forgot about the cookie.
Well, because Steve, so this girl's
fat
in line.
Kid remembers the cookie.
Well,
doesn't remember what celebration it was, but a cookie.
But there's a reason why. Like, this girl was in line, and we were all waiting to get in the first day, and she was passing out cookies she had made, and they're in Star Wars shapes. Well, at random, she hands me a cookie, and it's the Millennium Falcon. And I was like, well, I'm not going to eat this cookie.
And then you proposed, and then...
Yeah, right. So Steph gave me a cookie, but no, and so I kept the thing in my book bag the whole convention. It didn't break. I was going to take it home and keep it. I was seriously going to keep this damn Millennium Falcon cookie. And don't you know, it was like I get through the whole convention, and then TSA roughed up my bag going through the detector, and it comes out the other side, and my cookie was broken up. I was like, you pieces of... I was so mad. I was like, damn it. I make it through, a week with this damn cookie in my bag, and then you break it. What the hell? But
so my story from Anaheim wasn't the first time TSA messed with the council.
No, it was not. Mine wasn't nearly as bad as yours, but
well,
yeah, mine cost a little bit more than a cookie.
A little bit.
I'm batting 1,000, thank you. So
well, just watch your ass. Yeah, just watch your ass with TSA when you finally get to Celebration, Steve.
Well, AJ wasn't part of that conversation. I was just texting you when I said you can put the thing in writing that 2019 I'm going to Celebration. So
we're going to hold you to that. We got to
hold me to it.
We're going to hold you to
the fact that they're tying this thing into Star Wars Land at Disney and stuff. I will absolutely be there.
Well, there's our.
Let's just jump right onto that then.
I was going to say there's the first rumor that we heard that they're shooting for October of 2019 in Anaheim because they're trying to have it coincide with the opening of the park. And one of the things that's rumored that we heard is that they're going to open the park around that time, but they're going to have like a special preview day or 2 or 3, whatever the heck it is, just for people that are going to Celebration. So we'll be like the first ones to get in, which would be awesome because
I wouldn't even care if the thing is like operational yet. Just being able to walk through and have it be at like 90% or something like that, just to go, hey, we saw the majority of what's going on here. That would be good enough for me, honestly.
I hear JT laughing. I know the quote you're thinking of.
Of course. That thing's operational. Like,
yeah.
You can do all of it, Like
witness the full firepower of this fully armed and operational
Disney park
station.
Well,
yeah.
Knowing Disney the way I do, even if it wasn't 100% ready to go, they would have something that they could show off, even if it's only one little aspect of it or something. So
yeah, I would walk in just to walk around because of the stuff that they announced about it being all interactive and everything, which is awesome.
I could do an entire show just on what the hell that is. Right. So I don't even want to start on the Disney Parks panel.
That's probably the first one you watched.
It was. It really was the first one that I watched, and just the stuff that they're planning on doing by making a planet that we've never seen, because they said it on stage. They were like, well, we know what happened on Hoth, and we know what happens on Tatooine, and we know this and this. So they created this whole new thing. That way you can't walk around and know what's going on around you.
Yeah.
So you're going to be totally immersed in this brand new world and have new characters around you. And to say that everything you do will have a positive or negative influence on the rest of the time you're walking through that area, that's crazy, because Disney's never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
So just getting on the ride for the Millennium Falcon and you want to be a jerk and go, I'm going to do this, this, and this and make it crash. Well, and then when you
crash the Falcon,
and when you get off the ride and you go to go buy some blue milk at the cantina and they're treating you like crap inside there, or you got bounty hunters looking for you because you want to be an ass on the ride. That's insane, dude.
That's going to be so much fun. I don't really have an interest in Disney because crowds are just, I hate huge crowds. If I have to wait, that's why, I only made it to one panel this whole celebration, which is not that abnormal for me because I can't stand waiting in lines.
I hate it too. That's why the only time I go to Disney is during down season now.
Right.
I'll go in October or February or something like that when the crowds are next to nothing.
I would buy the fast pass. I won't do Cedar Point anymore without a fast pass. And, but so I've never had an interest to go to Disney. This gives me an interest to go to Disney because I'm like, okay, if this is going to be Star Wars related and I'm like, it's interactive and I'm, the decisions I'm making and the things I'm looking at, the things I'm touching are influencing how my visit goes. That's pretty cool. It's like you're living in a live action choose your own adventure type of thing.
That's going to be the closest you're going to get to living in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like you just said, you don't want to leave Celebration because you can't live Star Wars. You're going to live Star Wars.
Yep. Yep. Well, so
now does that mean that I'm allowed to show up in costume? Can I walk around as an ARC trooper?
I wonder. I don't know if they'll let you cosplay because they're going to already have people running around cosplaying.
I'm going to say no, but maybe during Celebration they might, or they might have events that they look the other way. But yeah, you don't want to accidentally get mistaken for part of the show and get cracked in the face with a staff or something.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, definitely no one in a mask, I would guess.
The girl playing Rey just comes up and slaps you in the face with a bow staff because she thought you were one of the stuntmen.
Yeah. You just take one to the dome. Damn it, now my helmet's cracked too. My backpack was already messed up. Now my dome is cracked too.
And then we got to do a podcast on how they closed Star Wars Land already because of AJ.
Well, the stuff that we've done at Celebration,
like Sons of Anarchy, they make me burn off my tattoo.
Yeah, right.
And on our last episode ever of the Nerf Herder Council, because we screwed up Star Wars Land for everybody.
That'd be a great story, though. It'd be a great promo. We'd certainly get a lot more listeners
for that last show.
I know, right? Damn it, why couldn't we have figured this out earlier and done it more legally? But
indictment of the council, our farewell episode,
right? Well, getting back to us getting in the first day, so we avoided the lines. We went up through the Rosen, and it was pretty cool because it's basically the main hallway width-wise is where you walk into from the side entrance, and my wife Stephanie went with us, and I got her passes for Thursday and Friday, and to see if she enjoyed it, and because she loves Star Wars. My credit card statement has proof of that now. So
your credit card hates Star Wars.
Credit to her.
Yeah.
Credit to her. She was just crashing the trip to Florida. She wanted to go to Florida. It wasn't until she actually made an effort to get into the movies that she cared about Celebration.
I think she's always been into Star Wars, but obviously not like us. But I think I've told her over and over again what an amazing time it is, because the first one we went to was in 2010, AJ, and I met her in November of 2009. So I've been telling her all the other three that we've been to I'm busy texting her all the time, like, oh my God, look at this, and sending her pictures. And so she was actually excited for it. And her thing in Star Wars is the droids. So like your daughter, Steve, Maddie has Chewbacca.
Right.
Well, Steph has the droids. She loves R2. She loves BB-8. She loves K2SO. So we're walking down this long hallway to get to the main entrance, and right as we get to like the big crush of people going in and stuff, and all the cosplaying, all that stuff starts, she decides, well, she has to go to the bathroom, so she's like, I'll be right back. So she's in there doing whatever she's got to do, and some guy has an R2 unit, like a big silver R2 unit, because full size and automated and all this sort of stuff, remote control, and it's tooling down the hall, and I'm like, you know what? She ought to be done right now. I bet you she's going to walk right out into this R2. The first thing she's going to see. And sure as hell, she walks out of the bathroom, turns to her right to come walking towards us, and sees this R2, and her face was just like, she looked like the sloth in Zootopia when he hears the joke.
Great.
Yeah, and she runs up to it, stops, freezes, and looks at the guy, goes, can I hug him? And the guy's like, yeah. So she just gets on her knees, just hugs this R2 unit. It was the funniest thing. So it was on from there. And it was, I think for me, that was one of the all-time coolest things that I've experienced at Celebration, is sharing it with somebody else, because it's something you can tell people about it, but until you're there, you don't understand. And as soon as she walked into the show floor, she went, holy crap. I'm like, I told you. And she was just blown away. I mean, it's just so overwhelming and so cool. So that was pretty fun. So we spent Thursday walking around, and we had some food, and we were checking out all the stands and everything.
JT, did you notice this? Speaking of first impressions, even though the show floor was bigger and they used halls A, B, and C all for the show itself, and then D and E were just for like queuing up for panels and such, did you notice that the general decoration was scaled back this time? Like no giant inflatable Death Star in the main concourse, no floor to ceiling banners like they used to have.
Yeah.
It was very much undecorated this time. I was surprised. I'm like, oh, and even the main banners outside were the same color as the building, so it was hard to even see that they were there. Yeah, and
when they put the banners up outside of the front of the building, Steve?
Thursday morning.
Yeah. No,
really?
No, it was like Wednesday afternoon. So it was less.
We arrived before the banners did.
Yeah, it was. I walked over to the convention center. I'm like, why the hell aren't there any banners? Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. I mean, that's the one. As great as Celebration is, as great as this one was, they really kind of dropped the ball on a few things. I mean, like AJ said, they didn't have all the giant inflatable stuff. All the branding and everything wasn't as extreme as it usually is.
The flare wasn't there this time.
Yeah. But I mean, it was all, but as AJ mentioned, they doubled the show floor size. So they did anticipate having a ton more people. So you could actually walk around, because in Anaheim, it was a constant like quagmire of people and Saturday was just an absolute bastard to get around. And this actually wasn't bad, at least navigating the show floor. Now, that having been said, I think, AJ, we should address probably everybody's major complaint about this Celebration.
Ooh, wait, getting into the store.
Thank you.
Really? I was right?
Yes.
Nice.
Steve, everybody was complaining about it, because
I saw a picture of it on Twitter. It looked like the worst day ever at any theme park on the planet.
It was ridiculous. It was like a 4-hour wait. And this comes after Anaheim, when the waits were like 6 and 7 hours. So they knew that, and then the problem becomes, everybody that gets in on the first day, they clean everything out.
Yeah, it's all the scalpers and stuff. They're buying 50 of these pop vinyls so they can sell 49 of them. On eBay.
Those pop vinyls and stuff, those were show exclusives that went at the actual booths.
Oh, okay.
The actual stuff from the store, I mean, they were doing that, but it's like, they have to do something about this. Like, start selling stuff online. Like, take pre-orders.
They do a thing at D23 where, depending what level of ticket you bought, if you're like a platinum or a gold or whatever, it's that coincides with you getting into the store to get some of the exclusives and stuff. So, so even if these guys charged more of a premium for the tickets or something, that would be up to you and I to decide, do I want to spend an extra like $100 on my celebration ticket to get early access to the store or not? And, if you don't want to pay for it, screw it.
Yeah.
Like that's on you. But if you really want to get in that store and they say, hey, another $100 or $200, you can get a platinum and you could go in Thursday morning before anybody else touches it, then go for it.
Yeah.
I think it would be worth it, honestly.
They had something called lightning passes this time. Sorry, AJ, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, go with lightning passes. I was about to say that too.
No, go ahead.
Well, the lightning pass was a good idea. It just wasn't implemented well. The idea was you could line up early and get a time slot basically to come back and shop. So you didn't have to waste your whole morning waiting in line. So you just you'd get in line early and they'd say, okay, here's your time slot. Come back between 11 and 11:30.
Yeah, it sounds like
you just cut right to the front of the line, off you go.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the old original Disney fast passes for the rides and stuff. Unlike Cedar Point, where you pay for something, it's all free. You just go get your little card, and it says, come back between 11 and 11:30, and you go to the front of the line. Mm-hmm. So, like you just said, AJ, you don't have to waste your time standing in line for 4 hours or whatever the hell the ride queue is.
Yeah, and I think
now here's my question for you guys. Like, I understand that the point of being an exclusive is that it's exclusive, meaning you exclude people on purpose to, drive up the desirability of the thing. So on one hand, from the collectability standpoint, I can see why they limit the number of things that are available and make them difficult to get because they're more desirable. But from a business case, why don't you do everything you can to get as many people the item that they want as possible? Which would you rather have? Would you rather have like the ultra rare thing so the collectors can still be proud of the thing that they've acquired? Or would you rather come down on the business side and say like any fan that wants something from the show should be able to get it as long as they're at the show?
I think they should do the latter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, we're there.
You'd think they'd want to sell as much as possible and cater to the, even though it's tens of thousands of people, but cater to the few ultimately that are actually inside that convention center during the course of the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, and everything gets picked over. I mean, there were people that got into the store Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and they were like, well, everything's mostly gone.
There's a broken salt shaker. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll take that home for $18.
Right. I actually looked into the store at one point and you could see the t-shirt displays and it was 2/3 empty. So, I mean, people go in there and they just load up, and then by midway through the second day, end of the second day, nothing's left. And so then you get all these poor people that don't know that, and then they're waiting in these hellacious lines, especially on Saturday, and they get in there.
Yeah,
and
it's like a bread line in Russia or something.
How
Right.
pissed would you have been if you would have stood in that line, be it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, and then you get in and you're just like, I need to spend money. I've been in this line. I need to spend money, and then just walk around and go,
yeah, there's nothing but crap left.
Yeah. Like you said, there's just t-shirts that are 6 sizes too small or something, and just trash. There's like 85 of like one thing because it's not even show exclusive. It's just like junk that they put there for filler. You could buy at Toys R Us or something.
Yeah, I mean, if I was ever going to brave the store, I would do it on Thursday, and I would do it first thing and get it out of the way because at least I would know everything is there. So, I mean,
but then at the same time, you missed the most important panel of the entire convention.
Yeah.
I guess you could watch it on YouTube while you're standing in line or something.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. So, I mean, that's no big deal. But I mean, it's one of those things that you learn as you do celebrations, that there's certain times to go, and if you don't get there in time,
he will learn patience.
He will learn patience.
Yeah, it's like it's something you got to plan. You got to plan ahead of time that you're like, hey, I know that I'm going to miss the first day of celebration because I'm going to stand in the line for the stupid store.
Yeah,
and it's like, and it goes back to spending the money on if they were to put like a platinum pass or something on it of, hey, it's my money, so screw it. I'm choosing to stand in line all day to go buy a couple of T-shirts as opposed to roaming the show floor or something.
John from Blockade Runner made a good point that they should take pre-orders on the Celebration website, because then they'll know how much to produce. Like they can say, okay, we've got 15,000 orders for this one T-shirt, so we're gonna make 15,000, then we're gonna bring stuff for the show, because then people that get in, they'll actually have a chance to buy the stuff and they'll make more sales. So I don't understand why they don't do that. It was completely ridiculous.
Hell, speaking of T-shirts, you think they would toss you one for coming in? Like, here you go. Here's your Celebration Orlando shirt. At least you get some type of collectible to go home with. That's specific to the show.
You have to buy it. There's a Celebration shirt, and that's always the one that sells out first. That's why they had the Force for Change. They had the Last Jedi shirts. It's just the Last Jedi logo on the front real big, and then it says it's the Force for Change logo on one sleeve, and then it might be Reed Pop on the other one, but they actually had those.
No, it was just a Celebration Orlando logo on the other one.
Was it? Okay.
Celebration Orlando on one, Force for Change on the other, and then Last Jedi right in the middle.
Okay. I feel they pre-ordered, and I bought two of those.
This sounds like the night that the Cavs won the world title and I ran out to the sporting goods store to get stuff. People were buying merchandise off other people before we got to the register, because they're like, oh crap, you got that one hat. Like, there was none of those back there. I'll give you $20 for it. And I'm like, we haven't even got to the register yet. Okay. Here's $20 free. Take the hat, dude.
Yeah, right.
Like, I feel like this was going on in the store there, is you just go in and you grab like 2 armfuls of T-shirts, and then you're like, 25 a piece, everybody.
Right.
They're mine now. They're in my arms. Go screw. Yeah.
Well, I did.
Yeah, I think it's very simple to control this whole process. When you buy your tickets online, when the tickets open up for the entire convention, you should be taken to a page after your ticket purchase. It says, okay, what merch do you want to pre-order? Then you just do a will call system, and that takes care of all the advance orders. And then at the show floor, to alleviate more of the crush, have multiple stores. The show floor is 3 halls wide. You could have 3 stores across that place.
Yeah, you could.
All selling the same stuff.
Yeah, you could have a massive one inside. You can actually have a smaller one outside that's selling, 5 or 6 things, a couple of T-shirts and some junk. You could, in Orlando, you could have set up something at Disney Springs or something with just exclusive Star Wars merchandise.
Yep.
Like they could have spread it out if they would have thought a little better about it.
Yep. Well,
so that was the only way I got anything exclusive to the convention or not even to the convention, but exclusive to the trip. I bought a couple souvenirs at the Disney Parks store. It's stuff that is only for sale at the Disney Parks.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go to the Disney Parks and pay to get in there, but I was able to at least get some merchandise that's local to the area. Because Sunday I took a picture. I'll put it up, on the Nerf Herder Council page. It was a 4-hour wait. As of 10:30 in the morning, there was a 4-hour wait, and they were cutting the line off and not letting anyone else go in because they knew they didn't have merchandise to spare for anybody.
Wow. They have to fix that. It's just ridiculous at this point.
You guys should have collected on that. You should have stood right by the exit with a box full of the Nerf Herder Council T-shirts. Sold them for $15 a piece.
That would have been awesome. Show exclusive.
Traded them. Be like, here's our podcast shirt. Give me that one.
Yeah, right.
Could have put some masking tape on the sleeve and put a SWCO on it.
That'd be great.
It's exclusive merch, guys.
I will say that Disney Store had a couple really cool T-shirts. I got one for me, and I got one for my wife.
Did you get the gray one with the orange sash over the shoulder?
No, I got the gray and black one with the it's a 3/4 length sleeve, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, and it's it was like gray on top and then black on the bottom, and it had the 40th anniversary logo in black, so it was kind of understated, but it was really cool. And then Steph had the girls tank top with the butterfly cut in the back, and it was the silver, like the silvery looking 40th anniversary logo. It was yeah, it was really cool. So I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff. I mean, the store part sucked. They got to fix it, but there was some cool stuff. One thing I wanted
that was the bummer. They had the best exclusive lineup of merchandise of any celebration we've been to, and they had the least chance of getting it.
Yeah. I mean, there's been barely anything that I would have actually wanted from the store until this year. There were a few things I'm like, I'd buy those, and there's no way in hell I was going to get in there, so I didn't even try. There's no way.
Exactly. I just hope that stuff comes out later elsewhere, because all the stuff we were drooling over was the 40th anniversary stuff. It wasn't Star Wars Celebration stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So on Wednesday, I kind of had a little adventure myself. AJ and my wife and stepson and our buddy were going to, they were going to go to Daytona Beach. And I was like, I'm here. I'm in Florida for Star Wars. I don't give a crap if there's a beach. I don't give a crap if there's seafood. I'm here for Star Wars. So they went to Daytona Beach and I just started walking around the convention center because it wasn't locked. So I just walked in and just kept going and seeing if anybody would boot me. And, I ended up following the tour of the volunteers were taking, and in the process I was walking up to the third level, and this guy behind me says, well, you better memorize this, man, you're gonna need it in the next few days. And I turned around and said, this is my third one here. If I don't have it memorized by now, I got problems. And he laughed and we started talking, and turns out it was the guy who dresses up as Chef Vader. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but there's pictures of him all over the place. But he's a Vader with a chef's costume. He walks around the big platter with Jar Jar's head on it with a bunch of like lettuce and crap around it. So he was Chef Vader, but it turns out he works for Lucasfilm.
Really?
Yeah. So he actually knew the people that put it together and stuff. So we started talking and we connected on Twitter and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. And at the end of the tour, I was, I'm like, okay, I'm on the third level. The Galaxy stage, which is the main stage, is on the fourth level. No one's kicked me out yet. I wonder how far into this I can get.
How far can I push this?
Yeah. So I walk around a corner and there's like these big wooden doors. So I knew it was an entrance of some kind. And this worker guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, man, do you know how to get into this place? I said, well, these doors are supposed to be unlocked. I totally lied. So he goes up. He goes, oh, yeah, it is. So he opens the door and I just followed him in. Well, it turned out to be the celebration stage, the second biggest stage. And I was like, whoa. And I was thinking, like, I should run up front. And it's like a little amphitheater. So you've got the lower level seating and then the upper seating. And I was like right in the split. And I was like, man, I should run up to the stage and like get a selfie with like the stage setup, because it was obviously Warwick Davis's, because it was a short desk and a short chair and stuff like that. So I was like, I don't want to get kicked out. Like, I don't know if anybody important is up there. So I decided not to. 2 minutes later, Warwick Davis walks out and he starts running through stuff for all the programs he was going to do. I was like, damn it. I could have had a picture, man. And if I got kicked out, they're not going to remember me, but I don't think they would have booted me. I was like, damn, I should have done something. So
were you wearing your pass?
I was not wearing my pass.
So they couldn't even have confiscated your credentials, basically.
Yeah, and that's why I was thinking later. I was like, I should have. Yeah,
like you should have just went Facebook Live and yelled something at Warwick or something, just to get him to just to get him to wave or something. Yeah, wave! It's Nerf Herder Council. So yeah, he just yell across the amphitheater. Can you say Nerf Herder Council? Right. I'm gonna use it as a bumper.
But yeah, so I did that, and then I sat in there for a while trying to figure out if there was a way I could get up there and get a picture, but a whole bunch of like production hands had come out. And so I was like, all right, after about a half hour, I decided to leave, but I went up instead of, I'm like, I'm not going back down. I'm going to keep pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Here.
Right.
So I end up on the fourth floor, and this really official looking person was walking around. So I just looked at him and was like, hey, what's up? Just pretended like I had every right to be there. And she just said, hey, how's it going? Nothing. Didn't question me or anything. And I obviously looked like a fanboy. So it's not like I looked official in any capacity. So I end up and I went over to the Galaxy stage, and I was right at the doors, and I was just about to open them to try and, peek in. And one of the security guys came around and he was like, can I help you? And I was like, oh, I'm just kind of hanging out. He's like, oh, okay. And this other guy, and I said, actually, I do need some information. So I kind of made sure to get him in a conversation. I asked him where the queue line was to get into the, to wait overnight for the panel the next morning.
So now you're just in the uncomfortable, awkward, trying to make conversation phase at this point.
Well, there was another guy standing up there, and he and I got to, he said, actually, I'm going down there now. So he's like, you want to come with me? I said, sure. So I start talking to him, and he has a podcast as well, and it's called Star Wars 7x7. It's like the only daily Star Wars podcast. So we were talking and we exchanged info, and
we're way too lazy for that.
I know. Right. So, but I tweeted at him, he tweeted at me, yada, yada. And come to find out, he's got a lot of traction. And like one of his most recent interviews was with David Collins. I mean, he's got some names on there. And I was like, so I'm kicking myself. I'm like, damn it. I should have like talked more or something. Then I go on Twitter and I see that about 20 minutes after I left him, he ended up hanging out with Pablo Hidalgo. And he had asked me, he's like, yeah, what are you doing? I'm like, just wandering around. And so I could have kept walking around with him, just chilling. And I would have met Pablo Hidalgo. So this trip was just like a huge series of regrets. I'm like, damn it. So it's like, I don't remember if I put this on social media or not, but I really learned that of all things, and this is something you would never believe would come out of my mouth, I really need to be ballsier at these things. Like, I mean, I'm already sneaking into the convention center and doing all this stuff. And, AJ and I had some completely ridiculous and somewhat illegal late night shenanigans on Thursday. But I needed to be even ballsier because I missed out on a couple.
But wait, Wednesday's not done yet. Remember Wednesday evening? Yes.
Well, Wednesday evening.
So basically, moral of this story is when I go in 2019, I just shouldn't hang out with you for the sake of getting kicked out of something.
Stick with me so it can force me to do stuff I ought to be doing. Case in point. Exactly. Case in point.
So AJ and I need to be there for peer pressure.
Exactly. So we go back Wednesday night with my wife and stepson, and we were scoping everything out, and I was showing them around, and I go to open the door and to let somebody in, and it turns out it's Ray Park. So I was like, oh, hey, what's up, Ray? He says, hey, how's it going? I said, do you mind if my wife and stepson get a picture? He says, no. So he was super cool. We talked for a minute, got a picture. He walks away.
Stop for a minute. Let's just take that into perspective. You opened the door to the convention center, and you just said, oh, hey, Darth Maul, how are you doing?
Right?
Oh, hey, buddy, I've known you for 20 years. How's it going, sir?
Well, I was like,
yeah, totally normal. Just running into, the guy who played Darth Maul.
Right? Well, it's not like
no big deal. It's not like he's a star or anything.
Well,
right. You're on a first name basis because you're doing shots with him in Anaheim.
Right. It's not like he remembers me, but what am I going to do? Mr. Park, like it was the first thing that came to mind. And thankfully it was polite instead of holy crap or Jesus Christ or
cleaning drool off of your face.
Yeah. So they get the picture. We talk for a minute, and then I'm like, all right, catch you later. And he, goes away. And like 10 minutes later, I start thinking, and I was like, oh man, I could have had him record a bumper for the show. So there's another thing I messed up. It's just the laundry list just goes on and on and on. And now
I think the theme of the entire weekend was kind of, for at least as far as the show is concerned, is son of a.
That's about it. Or, as we like to say, oh, come on! It was a series of those moments because we gave out stickers, but probably not nearly enough. We talked to a bunch of people, which was cool. So that was
from the home front. I bumped some Facebook numbers at least, so I did my part.
That was good. So now we get to Thursday night, and let's go to the second half of this story, AJ, because it'll make it funnier.
Are we gonna Tarantino this thing?
Oh, it has to be told this way. So Thursday night, AJ and I got really drunk, and we did some.
No.
Yes, we did some really stupid shit. And
we basically partied like it was 2010.
Yeah.
Or 2012.
Or 2015. we were a little out of control, did some stuff we're not proud of. It's
everybody has their celebration moments. Ours are just harder to remember.
And potentially could be illegal. So let's hear it for no security cameras. But anyways, so we were pretty drunk on Thursday. And Saturday comes around, and we were still waiting for an email from Jason at makingstarwars.net. Pull the curtain back a little bit. Like, we've emailed with him, and he is interested in putting our show on his network once we have 50 shows. He's very cool guy and very helpful, and he's been very personable, but he's up there in terms of knowing stuff. He's huge a huge insider. So to have a connection like that is very cool. So
he's kind of a big deal in the Resistance.
Yeah. Right. So Saturday we're outside the main entrance of the convention, and we're hanging out with John from Blockade Runner, and he looks over my shoulder and goes, "Oh, that's Jason from Making Star Wars." And I was like, "Oh," and I grabbed AJ. I forget what he was doing. We got to get over there now. So we run over there, and I said, "Hey, Jason, how's it going? I'm JT. This is AJ from the Nerf Herder Council." And he says, "Oh, hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?" And he said, "Wait a minute. Didn't I meet you guys the other night?" And I was like, and immediately in my head, because
You're thinking,
I go,
well, no.
yes, I go, no. What I did was I went, ah. And he goes, "Yeah, you guys were pretty drunk." And I was like, yeah. So go back to Thursday, and apparently we did meet him in the cafe.
We made a good first impression, though.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So yeah, we apparently met him and had no recollection of it, which led me to be like, how the hell did we know it was him if we were that hammered and had never met the guy before? So thankfully he was super cool to us, and he was laughing about it, and he's a really nice guy. But yeah,
well, you remember the context in which we met him on Thursday night.
We can't give details on that.
We can give certain details.
We were drunk and
It
trying
was
to
very late, and we were looking for more beer
and pizza.
and pizza, and he was also looking for more beer. So the fact that we had tied one on and were looking to keep doing so, it apparently rang up true in his book. He's like, "Yeah, cool, party on, guys."
Well, let's just say that some of us that night found a way to get more beer after they weren't selling. Some other people didn't. So we'll just leave it to your imagination there.
Well, it's because of the all-night store that was off-site that you obviously got it from.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, we could say that.
There's stores all over Orlando, and you just happened to find one that was still open. It's not a big deal.
I will say this: that night could have been worse.
Smuggling is a proud tradition in the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
Okay?
We were the Han Solo of Heineken.
Who was this? So AJ was Chewie. He's just riding in the passenger seat.
Apparently so.
Much.
I will say this, AJ, if this was a normal celebration and we were by ourselves, that night would have been a lot longer and a lot more drunken, because we had handles of booze in the hotel room. And if it was just us and we didn't have to worry about waking people up, he'd have been like, "Oh, we're still looking to drink." We'd have been like, "Well, come up to the room, man." And that would have been our meeting Jason from MakingStarWars.net story, because that would have happened for sure. But as it was, we had people in the room and we could not do that. So, but yeah,
we did lose friends that night, though.
So another thing that I need for 2019, possible bail money.
Well, we're not that bad. We're not that bad.
Well, you just said, well, I guess it depends if Steph goes in 2019.
Yes, exactly.
Or if Gwen goes, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, so we met Jason from MakingStarWars.net twice and remembered the second time. So
good. That doesn't make me feel so bad for starting the conversation.
Yeah. Like,
as long as you remember one of the times you met, I guess we're okay.
Yeah. When you mentioned it, I was like, did we meet him? And I was like, I don't really remember. Again, I don't know how the hell we would have known who the heck he was. But then again, we talk to everybody, especially when we're drunk. So, especially me. I'll talk to anybody when I'm sober, but you get me drunk and I'll just have a conversation with the Pope. I don't give a damn. So, however it came out, I don't know. Probably me being stupid and promoting. So,
hopefully.
Yeah. So there was that story. And then we were actually pretty well behaved after that, but we did have some other cool stuff. We had the Last Jedi panel on Friday. So we all stayed in the room and watched that.
Yeah, that's pretty massive.
It was funny because like they're doing all the interviews with the actors and stuff, and I'm just sitting there in the bed like going, I don't care, get to the trailer, I don't care, because I knew they weren't going to really tell us anything that was of any consequence.
Yeah.
It's like listening to a press conference before the NFL draft. Like the executives aren't going to tell you nothing, so you just want to get to the enough of this to get to the part where you pick the players. Like, So AJ, give us your first impression of the trailer.
My first impression of the trailer is it does exactly what a teaser trailer should. It raises a lot more questions than answers. I mean, there's really nothing given away except for visuals. The only things, and I've even gone through like the frame by frame, like freeze frame dissections online, and the only real nuggets that I can get out of it that aren't immediately apparent from the first viewing are that there are A-wings.
Yeah.
They got A-wings for the Resistance.
Yep.
Yay. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, I'm like, okay, I see some things I've never seen before. Yep, Luke's training Rey, and there's misdirection.
Yep. Steve, what was your first impression?
Legitimate first impression is I was just thinking about, yay, we get more Star Wars this year. Like I didn't really pick the trailer apart more so as I just looked at it as a whole and was like, yes, like that's our first step of getting this new movie this year. Like, so I was just more excited than trying to pick the trailer apart. But
yeah,
you guys mentioned it on Twitter or Facebook, whatever, that the trailer was absolutely missing that punch in the face, like the Force Awakens one did. With when you got to hear Han's voice, like that was the slap in the face. Like you're like, yes, this is real. Like I guess the closest thing we got to that was Luke saying
it's time for the Jedi to end.
Yeah, but I didn't really get like hit with that, you know, like it was just part of the trailer. It didn't really feel like, oh God, yes, you know, it was just like, it's there.
I really think that would have been huge if they didn't have the Chewie "We're home" in the Force Awakens one, because that was just so massive that it was
almost the poster almost felt like it had more of a punch by giving Rey like that that pose of the original Star Wars poster and stuff like that. That felt more like a slap in the face than the trailer did, you know, of like, yes, like this thing's coming out now.
Yep. My first impression,
that poster is excellent.
Yeah, it is.
I want a copy of that so bad. It's already my wallpaper on my computer at work.
Well, you can get one on eBay because people are selling them for like $120.
Of course they are. That and the Carrie Fisher one.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that. It's, you know, some things ought to be sacred, you know. But now my first reaction to the trailer was that I absolutely loved it because the tone of it was very different than I was expecting. And if the movie follows that tone and all the rumors, like Daisy Ridley and a couple people said that in the test screenings they've had so far, that the main word that everybody uses is it's different. It's different than any other Star Wars movie. So if that continues and that tone continues, I am going to be madly in love with this movie. I was already excited for it just because I'm nervous about it, you know, given my feelings about Force Awakens. And this trailer just got me completely excited for this movie. I am like and I hate to do this to myself, but I can't. It's just my initial reaction. My expectations for this are now super high because I love Rogue One more and more every time I watch it. And now this looks like it's going to be something different and really original. And I absolutely cannot wait to see this movie. I thought it looked cooler than hell. So that was amazing. I thought it was great. So
I do love the thought that they can bring something new to a Star Wars movie in the what is this, the ninth Star Wars film to come out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that they're still able to, I'm interested to see how they're going to make it fit in with the saga, but feel different than anything has come before.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, the Jedi are supposed to be, you know, the ultimate good guys. And from the sounds of things and of course this could not play out this way, but from the sounds of it, you know, you expect, you know, you got Luke Skywalker in the movie. Well, he's going to bring the Jedi back, but instead they went, no, he wants the Jedi to be gone. And you're like, what the hell? I mean, that was like, talk about a curveball. If that's how the plot plays out, It's like, holy crud.
Like Luke's just a crotchety old man. He just doesn't, he like turns away from Rey and doesn't want the lightsaber hilt and stuff. He just turns around like, nope.
Yeah, all the Luke training and talking in the trailer is actually like the Constable Zuvio of The Last Jedi. It doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, right.
None of that happens. He's like, no, I'm not training you, but you're Luke Skywalker. I have the Force. You got to train me. No,
it's like the memes that are going around now of like how Star Wars could have ended and stuff. Sorry, they're like, he just throws his hands up and goes nope, and then it goes to the space created by George Lucas.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, how's that for a
You must learn the
curveball?
ways of the Force if you want to come with me to Alderaan. Nope.
Nah, don't think so. Yeah, right.
Like,
But-
there's your curveball. Episode 8 is 90 seconds long.
Right. But so we had the Last Jedi panel, which was great. But all I really cared about was the trailer.
What is this trend of trying to make the directors likable, by the way? You notice that, like, Rian Johnson, like, he was so buddy up there, like, yeah, I can't wait for you guys to see this. I'd love to show you the whole movie, but I can't right now. Like, it's like he's the everyman.
Well, I think,
And before that, JJ was, like, mysterious, but, bought people food in line. And then we had Celebration Europe, and same thing with Gareth Edwards. Like, wow, man, what is with these directors trying to be the personable guys?
well, don't forget, I think for them, it comes down to, especially with Gareth Edwards, he was very public about this. And Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams haven't been as much. But I mean, you're talking about people that, like us, grew up as Star Wars fans, and now they're making Star Wars. I mean, it's kind of like, as a football fan, if you're a quarterback and you get drafted by the Browns, you take them to the Super Bowl and you win a championship. It's like, it's something you think about as a kid, like how amazing would this be to be a part of, but it's something that can never happen. Well, it's happening to those guys. So, they're just like one of us. So they're equally as excited, to be able to make something like this.
Yeah, it's just funny, though, because you're used to walking into movies and, Mark Hamill does something or Harrison Ford does something. You're used to, like, rooting for the actors or actresses because you like them and the characters they portray. I've never had the experience before of walking into a movie and hoping it's good because I want the director to be successful.
All right. Yeah. No, I never thought about it that way. You're right. I mean,
I'm not cynical about it. It's just weird that, like, someone involved in making the movie instead of being in the movie is the face that you're familiar with.
Well, I mean, that's
usually the people behind the scenes are just that. They're behind the scenes. They're transparent. If the movie's good, you're like, yay, that group of anonymous people did a good job. But you're never like, oh, way to go, Rian Johnson. I'm so happy for you putting this movie out.
Well, I mean, but what they've done, though, they've got a list of directors that are working on these films that have such incredible credentials that it's kind of hard to miss them.
You think we're going to have a repeat? Like, they're doing a very good job of passing the directorial chair around to give each movie its own flair. But do you think we're going to get to a point where anybody gets a second turn?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I'm sure. See, it depends on whether or not they would do it, because as much as it's a blast for them, I'm sure it's also ungodly, like an ungodly high pressure situation, because you have all this expectation riding on you. I mean, Gareth Edwards after Force Awakens, it was like the third or second highest grossing movie of all time. Then he's got to go out and make something that's, even better, or at least as good as. So I mean, that's a lot of pressure. And now Rian Johnson's in that boat because everyone loves Rogue One and Force Awakens was huge. And it's like, so as much as they love doing it, maybe it's one of those things where it's so much pressure that, like, yeah, they'll do it once, but after that they're like, man, let's go back to doing something where I don't have the weight of the world on me.
I'm going to make Looper 2.
Yeah, exactly. So, but so we had that. The Saturday was an interesting day because we had the Battlefront 2 panel. I watched that one streaming from the Star Wars stage. I actually was I almost got a wristband for the panels. That's one thing that they did this time that was good. They gave wristbands. So you didn't just basically, like, if the panel's at 2:00, you didn't have to line up at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, 12 hours.
Yeah,
earlier.
they had it set out to where they had a certain amount of wristbands, and if you get a wristband, you get into one of the stages. And so that was really cool. And I had set my alarm for 4:30 in the morning on Saturday to go get a wristband. And we had been up all kinds of crazy hours. Driving all that time on Monday and Tuesday. And it finally, I just hit the wall exhaustion wise, and I rolled over at 20 after 8, and I was like, crap. So I quickly took a shower and ran over to the convention center, and I just missed by a few minutes getting one of the last wristbands for the Battlefront panel. So I just ended up going into the convention early, and then I watched the Battlefront 2 panel from the Star Wars stage, the Star Wars live stage, and it was fun. It was cool. I was kind of glad they showed the trailer a little early in it, because there was a lot of stuff I'm just like, yeah, get to it. Because it was, a lot of tech stuff, I think. But
yeah.
Man, when they played that trailer, it was awesome. And the
first thing I thought of, another female lead in Star Wars.
Yep.
It's like the trend now, which I'm not upset about, but I mean,
AJ actually talked about that. He had a couple points about that, but when they showed,
that is all over. I can actually tie that into the Thrawn book, but that's a different topic. So keep going on Battlefront. We'll get back to the whole women in Star Wars thing.
Yeah. Well, or we can get back to Celebration and save the women for Star Wars for another show. but yeah, when Maul,
3 dudes talk about the women in Star Wars, compelling.
Now. So when Maul came on the screen, the place went bonkers. I mean, huge ovation for Maul. It was so cool. So that looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks good. I love the fact that there's a story mode this time, so you don't have to just sit there and get pissed that you're doing nothing but online battles. And
yep.
So the story mode itself looks awesome. You're gonna get space battles and stuff with the TIE fighters and X-wings now.
Yeah, they said there's a lot more emphasis on the space battles this time too. And
then going back and being able to, God, my voice sucks today. And go back and have the online battles with the you can have Luke versus Darth Maul or something like that. Just kind of make your own Star Wars battle royale thing. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I'm excited for that.
The only thing they didn't say, and I have to go back and again, a lot of this is a blur to me, because I realized in reading coverage of it after the fact, when we were on the way home, I missed a lot of stuff, even though I was staring right at it, because I think my brain was just going, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, it's Star Wars, oh my God, it's Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. So I think I missed some stuff, but I wanted them to say whether or not they were basically keeping the same online features, in terms of playing with your friends and stuff like that, in this one as they have in the first game, because I really like doing that. So as much as I love the story mode, I would like it to basically give me the first game, but with a story mode, and that would be pretty much perfect. But they didn't.
This is like being at an Apple event or a Samsung event or any the tech industry stuff, where they did a masterful job all weekend of making sure that they kept the attention focused on the things they wanted you to know, and that means keeping the focus away from the things they didn't want you to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were all hyping up the single player campaign. They talked about all the new features of Battlefront 2. They didn't talk about what was being retained or what was being cut from Battlefront 1.
See, I had read online that they were going to focus strictly on the online single player campaign, pretty much, because that's what everyone complained about the most. So I kind of expected that. That's why after the trailer, I waited a few minutes and I was like, I already know pretty much that they're just going to keep talking about that, so I'm just going to go do other stuff.
It's funny though, because it wouldn't have taken much time at all to just say, in addition to all the great features of the first Battlefront, we also have they could have just taken a minute and said, everything about Battlefront 1 still coming in.
Yep.
And we've got all this great stuff.
Yep. Well, at least, and you know what? I don't remember hearing them give a release date at the panel, but there is a release date. I think it's November 17th or something.
It's a holiday rush this year.
Yeah. And I know for a fact, because I just looked it up on my PS4 before I came here to record. It's already up for pre-order.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's like some special edition. It's up for pre-order on the PS4. It's like $79.99, but you get it either 3 or 4 days early.
Yeah.
So before the public does, you can download it. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they're probably doing the same cadence as last time. You're gonna, you get the game in November, and then 2 weeks after that, you're gonna get something tied into The Last Jedi, which is right before The Last Jedi hits, and then everybody gets The Last Jedi content like the week the movie comes out.
Well, they're not doing all that DLC thing like they did before. They said
there's going to be DLC, but they're not going to have the big dollar season pass.
Yeah,
they realized they really screwed the pooch with it with the last one, especially being a $50 season pass, and you got next to nothing for it. You got a lot for it. I thought not $50 worth of stuff. Hell no,
dude. I disagree. There's like,
the game's over a year old at this point, but still, spending $60, or if you bought the special edition, spending $70 or $80, and then get hit with another $50 purchase for season pass right off the bat. It's pretty crappy.
I'm just a sucker.
Yeah, we had that complaint. We all felt like we were buying an incomplete game and then being asked to spend another $50 or $60 after the fact to get the full experience.
Yeah,
I didn't complain.
So yeah, the DLC's coming, but they're not hiding it behind the season pass this time. So
yeah,
there is going to be stuff to pay for. It's going to be, you want this goofy paint job on your helmet, it's $2.99, or you want this blaster, it's $2.99. Yeah, but all the DLC should be just flat out every couple of weeks, every couple months when they release it. It's just going to be in your game when you fire the thing up again. So that's awesome that they're basically giving you the whole game for $60 this go around instead of $150.
Yeah. Well,
and I hope they don't do the whole blaster pack thing. I hate the thought that like a competitive advantage in the game is strictly for sale. Like, oh, you want to have every advantage possible right off the bat? Give us more money.
It's funny you say that because that's part of the pre-order too.
Yeah,
you're getting extra blasters, and you're getting stuff that like you're getting like a way to customize your character differently than people who don't pre-order it. So you're gonna have that edge, when you get to play versus somebody who didn't pre-order it. So yeah, they're still doing that.
See, and I'm not.
So is one of the emotes where like your left hand flips a bird and your right hand makes the money grub sign?
I just did the turkey. The turkey was mine.
Yep, I did that.
I would pay money for the turkey.
Yeah. I love the turkey one.
I'm such a bad person to talk to you about this because
I would just run. It wasn't even supposed to be a turkey. You're supposed to be getting shocked or something.
Yeah,
I would run into the middle of the map and just start doing that.
No wonder you got killed all the time. Yeah, when they first put the game out for pre-order, I went to GameStop and I'm like, yeah, I need to pre-order Battlefront. And they said, okay, well, you can also get the season. I said, look, I'm going to save you a lot of time. Whatever extra crap you have, just do it. I want all of it. So I think I ended up spending like, oh man, like $160, $170.
I was in mine for about $170 when it was all said and done.
I just was like, here, just whatever you got, give it to me. I'm not doing it as we go. I'm not paying I want it all right now. Every goddamn thing that you
And it was so worth it because you got to start off with Han's blaster right off the bat.
Yep, the DL-44.
I got you all beat. I bought the most expensive upgrade possible for Battlefront.
The whole machine.
Exactly. I bought a PlayStation 4 strictly for that game.
I actually did too. I was like, I need that Vader version. When I saw the Vader one coming out, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to play Battlefront. So there it was. But
I'm surprised you don't already have PlayStation VR now that you know that there's an entire Star Wars Battlefront experience for it.
Well, that costs so freaking much money. I actually talked to somebody at GameStop and the guy said, wait. Because by the time you get games and all this stuff, it's like $700 or $600 or something. So he said it's not really worth it right now, but it might be down the road. So, but moving on Saturday, we had what I think was probably second best panel of the whole weekend, if not tied for the first. But it was kind of a last minute addition. It was the Mark Hamill's tribute to Carrie Fisher. And if you have not watched that one, oh my God, is it good? He did such a phenomenal job with that. It was just incredible. I mean, it was and his panels are great anyway. His panel on Sunday was awesome. I ended up being 10 feet away from him when he came to the Star Wars live stage because I watched like the last 20 minutes of his panel there, and then I found out he was coming out, so I just stayed. So there's I got a bunch of pictures with him up close, and
he did the Joker voice like 30 seconds into the Hamill himself one on Sunday. I'm like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, his stuff is so good though, because he doesn't even have a moderator. He just gets up there and talks. Like, he's got note cards to keep himself on track, and then he just goes. I mean, he takes audience questions, and
it seemed like he was like everywhere the whole weekend.
Yeah,
he said he was probably in 4 panels or something during the course of the weekend.
Because he was in the 40th anniversary, he was in The Last Jedi, he did the tribute to Carrie Fisher, and then he had his own. So yeah, he did that. But the tribute to Carrie Fisher was, man, it was good. That I think that's one of my favorite panels ever at a celebration. That was just he did such a good job, and it wasn't, you got teared up and stuff, and it was sad, but there was so much humor in it, and I think he did a really excellent job of getting across who she really was without it being overly sappy. So I thought he just did a phenomenal job presenting that, and I thought when I first saw that it went up, I thought it was a really cool idea, and then I thought he pulled it off brilliantly. So if you guys haven't seen that, it's online. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, no, I think his panel did a perfect job of illustrating how great the timing of this entire event was. Whereas, like, enough time has passed that it's not so fresh, but it's still recent enough, and especially being the first celebration without her, there's still a reverence there.
Yeah.
So you can get emotional, but it's not so tragic that it brings the whole thing down.
Yeah. I was just kind of surprised. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
He struck that perfect balance of like the sweet spot between reverence and
overdoing it.
Come on, what's the word? Like lightness, but levity.
Yeah.
Reverence and levity.
No, and speaking of tributes, I was kind of surprised they didn't do a little more about Kenny Baker, but they did at the beginning of the droids panel, which that was another great panel. If you haven't watched that one, AJ, did you see that one, Steve?
I have not.
No,
seen
I didn't watch
yet.
that one.
It's really good, because they had they brought up like 5 people from the audience to build it. They gave them a pile of crap and had them make their own astromech, which they displayed at the during the closing ceremonies. But they had Anthony well, first of all, Matthew Wood came out, and then they had Anthony Daniels come out, and then they had Alan Tudyk come out, and then for a few minutes they had Alan Tudyk and Anthony Daniels on the same stage. So that was a really good one too. It was very entertaining, really funny. So that was good. But yeah, I mean, and Mark Hamill's panel on Sunday, again, he doesn't have anybody moderating, asking him questions. It's just kind of like a monologue. And it's like you can totally tell why everyone loves him so much. It's just so cool because he's just so good with the fans. And when he came out on the Star Wars live stage, I was there and it felt like it a lot longer than it was, but it was only like 2 or 3 minutes because his voice was almost completely gone. But he still came out. He could barely speak, and he still came out. And I mean, it was just funny because like the way they do the interviews, when you're in the crowd, the people doing the interviews, their backs are to you on the Star Wars live stage, and they've got like a screen behind them and stuff like that. So, they're up there, but you can't really look at their faces because they're turned away from you to do the interviews. And when Mark Hamill came out, he said hi, and they asked him a question, and then he just turned around and faced the crowd and went right up to the front of the stage and was talking to all of us directly, like, thanking us for everything. And it was just really cool. I mean, he just instantly turned to the fans, and he was like, screw this interview. Like, I want to talk to the fans. And it's, we've talked about it before, but that matters. It's cool that these people actually give a damn as much as we do, or at least somewhat. And even if they don't, they acknowledge how important it is to us. And that was my first experience being up close with him. And it was just, I mean, the energy in that place was just absolutely insane. It was so fun.
Yeah. If there was ever any doubt before, it's removed now. Mark Hamill is the lifeblood of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like he just embodies everything in all eras now, because he was the most popular character in the original trilogy. Sorry. I mean, Han versus Luke, I know, but based on action figure production, I think Luke sold more. So, I mean, he had, I mean, back in the 90s, there was over 100 different variations of Luke Skywalker on the shelves,
Right.
To date. Now he's in the sequel trilogy. He's been all over the celebrations, even, in the tweener stages before the sequels were announced. So his character was quote unquote dead as far as the saga was concerned.
Uh-huh.
And he was still one of the highlights of Celebration. So, I mean, it's all about Mark. I mean, whatever he does, that's the Celebration highlight.
Yeah, I completely agree, and his energy is just infectious when you see him, and it's nice to be acknowledged because he never lets a chance go by. Anytime he does a panel of any kind, he always mentions thank you to the fans, and we wouldn't be here without you, and this, that, and the other, and it's just cool to be recognized like that. I mean, maybe it's a little self-serving to say that, but I mean. We
were talking about how some people say it and it sounds more genuine from some people than others. He's one of those guys, when he says it, it's not lip service.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, he's also making so damn much money at these things that it's like, I mean, he better say it because we're putting a big paycheck in his pocket that weekend,
Well, he's still working for a living.
Yeah. And
he doesn't need it. He doesn't.
The funny thing that happened.
That's true of most of these people. Like most of the people that show up to this thing have no actual need to be there. They're doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the new actors, they have contractual obligations, but no one's going to tell Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, that he has to be there. That's why Harrison Ford never showed up. He didn't have to.
Yeah. I thought it was cool of him to come out for this
time
one
because he wanted to.
Yeah, that was awesome. And again, I should have been in the room, but anyway, something funny that happened when Mark Hamill came to the Star Wars Live stage. And I didn't see who got nailed, but Steve, they had this, I don't know if you saw they have the t-shirt cannon, and they were shooting it, and a couple people that only went 20 feet or something, man, they had it. He was amping it up somehow because he was shooting. He shot it over the TIE fighter, and he shot one way to the back of the crowd, and he turns to the right, his right, which was towards the booths and stuff like that.
Right.
And he shot it, and it was a blast. And if you go back and look at it on the YouTube video, it's the last one he shoots, and you can hear everybody go, "Oh," because we all knew how far it went. Like he just hit somebody.
He just wiped out a crippled kid or something. Standing in line for a hot dog.
His campaign is going to be whoever got hit by the t-shirt.
You're right. From the sounds of things, I'm almost 100% positive that he hit somebody's booth. So I think he actually shot it into someone's booth.
he shot it into some collectibles booth or something and broke a couple of things.
It's one of those limited edition busts for $5,000, and he just knocks it right off the top of a shelf and it shatters.
Here's some guy displaying his custom built Han and carbonite. It's priceless, and he hits it and it just tilts over and falls on the ground.
Cracks in 8 pieces. Yeah, no, that was pretty funny because you heard a whole bunch of people go, "Oh," so you knew something was up. It was, we all did that, and then you heard a little bit of commotion over by the booth. So that was kind of funny, but yeah, so
the Star Wars Live stage was hopping all weekend. I give them, you said Mark Hamill lost his voice. Andy Gutierrez, same thing.
Yes.
I mean, she had so many hours on that stage. By the time the closing ceremonies came around, she was croaking that thing out.
And then there's me sitting there going, "You wussies, I could handle this, no problem." I'm like, my voice wouldn't give out. Tell the lead singer stuff.
That was the cool thing about being there. You talked about that live stage. I remember the very first day, we were out on the show floor when we were having food. Actually, we hit the food court. One of the first things after we wandered around a little bit, and then we saw that mass flood.
Yeah,
over to the Star Wars Live stage. We're like, oh yeah, okay, they're live on YouTube, yay! Except they were live on YouTube with George Lucas and Harrison Ford.
Yeah, Steve, it was pretty funny because we were sitting down to get something to eat, and you kind of get used to this as the weekend goes, but they have a guy on stage riling up the crowd so it looks good on camera.
Yeah, they got a hype man out there.
So you always hear these cheers go up, and the first couple times we're like, what the heck is this? So we didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden we hear this enormous cheer, and all of a sudden tons of people go running past towards. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And find out later that is when they brought out George Lucas and Harrison Ford. So people saw and were like, holy crap. So there was, like AJ said, this mass, flood of people. And, but yeah, the only thing that annoyed me because I was never sure if something good was going on or not, because they had everybody cheering like every 2 minutes. You're like, all right, are they cheering for something cool, or is it just this guy trying to fluff the crowd?
You see people running and you're like, whatever, I got a pretzel. I don't care.
Yeah. I'm eating a Nathan's hot dog. Leave me alone.
There's nothing that's more important.
Balls for a second though. That hype man. You remember the last day when they were just kind of like waiting for the closing ceremonies, and so they had time to kill, because those poor live guys, like the panels never started on time, so every time they were supposed to cut over, they're like, oh, we got like 5 or 10 minutes to kill. Okay, what can we talk about? And so the guy goes out in the crowd and he's like trying to find Princess Leia cosplayers. Next to these two chicks. One's got the buns on and everything, the other one's dressed in white, and they're like, oh, a couple Leias here, okay. And he's talking up like, what's your favorite Leia quote? And the first chick is like,
she had no idea.
She had no idea because she was dressed up as Queen Amidala from episode 2. She wasn't Leia.
Yep.
I was like, oh, come on. Like, how do you not know that? You're paid by Star Wars, and you couldn't pick out the difference between Amidala and Leia. I know they're two white chicks who have brown hair dressed in white, but come on, dude.
It was live. The girl should have just thought the better of it and just went, these are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn it, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Get out of here. Give me those buns.
Like, and I'm Amidala. What's your point, stupid?
That would have been even better if she said that, too. Why are you asking me a Leia question when I'm clearly Amidala from Attack of the Clones? And then the guy's like, back to you, Andrea. Just completely cuts the... So one more thing we should talk about, and then, we've already gone on quite a bit, but...
Yeah, we're going to need a second show with all this stuff.
I know. On Saturday night... we actually talked to the guy. His name is Mark Boudreau, and he's actually the guy that was working for Kenner in '77, and he's been working on the toys ever since. And basically, he was like involved in the very first lines of Star Wars merch way back when. And this dude, on that one, I was smart because I pulled out my phone to start recording because he and I were in a conversation, and it wasn't anything that was, proprietary information. It was just about his career and stuff. And so we're talking, and I pulled out the phone and I hit the record. He goes, "Whoa, are you recording this?" I was like, "Well, yeah, we're just having a conversation. I have a podcast. Like, we're not talking about anything." He goes, "Well, I don't know if I can. Like, we have to talk to like PR." So I turned the phone off and I showed him that I, wasn't recording anything and put the phone away. And then I asked him at the end, like, if I could do a bumper, and same thing, PR. So AJ managed to get the PR information the next day. So we're going to hit them up and see if we can get a bumper. But anyway, this guy, like, he had been drinking a little bit. You can tell
hell, we're going to get an interview.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, basically the guy was from the beginning, and boy, he loves to talk about it. It was great, man. I mean, which is nice because he was just telling us stuff, and he was just, we didn't have to goad him with questions, and it was really fun. And the guy who's in charge of the Black Series line, Steve Bono, he was there with him. So we were talking to him too. And I mean, it was just great. I mean, because we had gone to the Hasbro panel on Saturday night. And so we were just BSing with this guy who's literally had a hand in like Star Wars toys for 40 years. And my God, it was a fascinating conversation. It was just so much fun.
Oh, they didn't shy away from anything. Like, we weren't like hitting them hard. Like, oh, I got you in a corner now, I'm going to talk to you. But, just even casually, like, I was like, look, okay, I'm a big Transformers fan, for example. And with this one line of Transformers, it started out awesome, super detailed, love the toys. And it seemed like they kind of got cheapened over time. And I felt like the Black Series is in some ways, and I try to like, soften the blow a little bit. I was like, honestly, like the first wave of figures were worth so much more than what you guys were charging that now it seems like a come down. And they're like, well, bottom line, costs increase, the price hasn't. What do you think? Like, yeah, they didn't shy away from it at all. They're like, look, man, we got bills to pay. We're doing as much as we can with less. So
Yeah, they were very honest.
We're doing everything we can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless Black
And we
Series
understand
starts
that corners
going
have to
to
be cut in the name of maintaining a price point.
Right.
Like, wow, that's Hasbro PR's got to be hating those guys right now.
I told Steve Bono.
otherwise they got to start charging $39.99 for a 6-inch figure and stuff.
Right.
And
Right, that's pretty much it. Like people have been griping like the 40th anniversary stuff. They're like, "Oh, it's the same stuff they already put out before." Well, yeah, and that's the whole way that Transformers has made money throughout the years is like rehashing the same stuff over and over again in as many different colors as possible. So yeah, you're going to get like 14 different variations of a Stormtrooper because once they've made it once, all they got to do is paint it a different way, new figure.
Yep.
So if you want a Luke Skywalker that can only be made in one configuration, they're going to put it out twice to try to make their money.
Yep.
speaking of, I'm already on lookout alert for fall this year because they're going to do the Black Series Ray with the speeder bike.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing looks great.
Yeah.
We saw that in the panel.
I've got to curate my photos from Celebration, actually. JT's done a good job of putting all his up. I've still got a massive amount on my phone that I have not uploaded yet.
That
thing looks phenomenal in person.
I did tell Steve Bono, I said, if you could come over here, my wife would like to speak to you for a second because you've cost me about $200 in action figures this weekend so far. I've always said I want to collect the Black Series and I've never managed to go grab some for myself. Well, that changed this weekend. I bought 5. I bought K2.
They do totally get their audience, though. Remember how they kicked off the entire Black Series section of the panel by saying, like, look, we realize that there are a ton of Star Wars fans who didn't buy figures before. And because there's so many of them, they don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So we started the Black Series. I'm like, that's me.
Yep.
I didn't own any figures, but when I could get the first one ever and just get like 6 every 3 months or 4 months, whatever. Sure. Okay.
Yep. They got me suckered, and I bought Jyn Erso, Ray and BB-8, K2SO, Baze Malbus, and Cheered Imwe.
With or without Ray, with or without the lightsaber?
It's just the regular Ray.
Okay.
With BB-8
Ray
and the
with
staff
and BB-8.
Yeah, because that's like the original one. Then they the second release of it or something had the lightsaber in it.
See, that's the thing I kept asking people is I got to get a list of all the ones so that I can collect them all.
I got a picture on my phone now. I actually have JT can look at it. I got 5 coming my way of the 40th anniversary ones. The Leia, the Han, Vader, Luke.
I didn't even see them looking like this.
Yeah, it's got the 40th anniversary logo in the corner of the box and stuff. I guess
the 40th anniversary ones that we saw had old Kenner looking packaging.
Yeah, that's maybe that's like a GameStop exclusive thing. It's the Black
God
Series.
bless it. Now I got other crap to buy.
It's the Black AJ. It's the Black. It's the Black Series box, but it's got a 40th anniversary logo in the top left corner of it.
They're screwing me, man.
Never seen those.
They're screwing me. All right, well, we'll close with one more story, and it's basically what we've always talked about with Celebration is the socialization aspect of it is what's really, really cool. And I gave you guys a couple stories of people that, I met on my own. But, AJ, I think we would be remiss if we didn't discuss our new friends, Alan and Chris. We ran into these 2 older guys. They're probably in like their early 50s, Steve, at the hotel bar. And Alan was cosplaying as basically Obi-Wan Kenobi. He grew out a beard for it. He's got like kind of grayish whitish hair, and he was from the UK, so he's got the strong British accent. And then Chris was actually from Australia. He had the strong Australian accent. We just started talking to him, and they were absolutely the coolest guys. So we ended up we were with them the one night, and then we saw him. We saw him again for a little bit, I think, on Saturday night. And then we agreed to meet up and do dinner to close out the celebration. So Sunday night, we all got together at our hotel and we were having pizza and wings and just sitting there talking. They were the nicest guys and they were hilarious. So it was, I got talking to Alan and I was talking about like Monty Python and stuff. And all of a sudden we started yelling at each other in a British accent. So people trying to like, what the hell's going on? I'm going, piss off, you manky Scots, get. And he's like, and he was just going off. It was so funny, but yeah, we made some new friends. We got their contact information. We're friends on Facebook and stuff, and got their addresses and whatnot. So it was, the perfect way to end a celebration. with, new friends. We on Friday night we met up with the friends that we made in 2010. So there's a group picture of us that I posted. There's like 10 or 12 of us or something, and we all went out to dinner, and it was just such a blast. I mean, it all is such a blur, but I mean, it's just so much fun because you just meet the coolest people and you have the coolest stories, and you're living in a world of Star Wars 24/7, but it's the stuff that happens around the convention that is, generally like the most fun. It's just such a blast, isn't it, AJ?
Oh, absolutely. The way I summarized this celebration for us was each night it was like a little bit of a time capsule. Like the first night we got there with Steph and Dom, totally new people, but we brought family into it. That was like a new thing. And we had a night where we met up with the people we met at our first celebration. And we had a night where we hung out with the people we met at this celebration. And we had a night where we just hung out by ourselves, which is the start of all of this. So for 4 nights of the convention, we had 4 different distinct experiences. And that's like all you could ever hope for, is that like it's like going home again, but there's always something new.
Yeah, very much so. And it's so much fun. Again, like I know I said it earlier, but it's really true. You could tell people about it, but until you're actually there, they'll never really get it. I mean, like, my wife is a perfect example. She was all excited, and a couple hours into the first day, I was like, do you see what I mean? When I tried to explain it to you, I said, but you won't really understand until we're actually here. She said, I can't even believe how much fun this is. She's like, this is everything you said it was, but you're right. I could never have understood this unless I was actually here. She was just completely beside herself. And that's the effect that it has. I mean, it's so much fun. And I can't believe we have to wait another 2 years, because it's just like, I'm already ready to go back. Like, now my wallet isn't, but
right.
the rest of me is.
The conclusion every time we go, the conclusion is next time we got to bring more money.
Yep. I mean, we always learn lessons. Like, this one was do not drive. That was just too much.
True.
Don't room with friends, because you're never sure what you're going to get. And if you don't know how they are to travel with for a long period of time, you might run into problems. So that was a little difficult.
Close quarters make it stressful on everyone.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you got enough personal space.
Yeah, very much so. So, and I, realize I got to save up more money, and I brought a crap load of money with me, but apparently a crap load is not enough. So,
right.
Like, when you're eating 40,
and don't forget, we've already got our plan for 2019. We're going to guarantee that the council gets on the show schedule.
Oh, we have to. And the other thing is, if nothing else,
right. I'm just trying to guarantee going. Let's not go that far yet.
Steve's gonna,
it's very easy, Steve. We're not going to go the whole podcast stage route, because that leaves it up to judgment.
Yeah.
But if we apply for our own panel, oh yeah.
I don't think they're even going to let us do that.
The fan panels are where it's at.
Well, I know one thing. We need to do a broadcast
idea. They pretty much say yes to everything.
Yeah. There was some weird stuff, man. But I think one thing we definitely need to do is do a broadcast each night, so that we can actually remember what we did. Because I mean it's even without the night of, like, blasting ourselves with alcohol, there's so much stuff that happens that you just forget, because you're always on the go, and you're always going somewhere, and you're always meeting somebody. I mean, my wife met Warwick Davis on Sunday while we were waiting for Chris and Alan to meet us down in the hotel lobby. He was just zipping past, and she went, hey, can I get a picture? And he gave her a picture. So she met Ray Park and Warwick Davis, bookending the convention. I mean, stuff like that happens, and you forget about it. I mean, I just forgot about it until right now. So
yeah, it's like when
I had a friend in town who was late meeting us because she was having dinner at Denny's, and Chewbacca decided to show up and have dinner.
Peter Mayhew
just sat down right next to her.
Like,
okay,
my daughter would have lost her freaking mind.
Wait,
that's cool.
Wait, he sat down right next to her. They were BSing.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was he had called ahead and said that he was coming in for dinner, and he ended up sitting down at the table right next to her. He said, "I got 11 people. They cleared off a 12 top, and she was at the seat directly adjacent to the 12 top that they had made."
Wow.
Talk to him and everything. Yeah.
See, that's the kind of stuff that just rules, man. And that stuff happens so randomly. I mean, it's so much fun.
Yeah,
So it's amazing. When you're there, like you don't know who's going to be right next to you at any given point.
Yep.
Yeah, and like you were saying about constantly being on the move, just the other day trying to say, hey, I'm going to go to this thing in 2019. Like John and I were already like planning 2 years ahead. Now we're like, well, one night is this, and then we're going to do this. And then I'm like, well, I got people, that I'm good friends with on social media through the Disney groups and stuff that, like I'm going to have to run away one night and go hang out with them. So it's like seeing them for the first time in person instead of on social media. It's like, wow, like already it's like, it's a completely full plate of 4 or 5 days of your life, and it's like, dude, this is 2 years away. And you're like booked solid already for basically what you have to do for the entire week. It's crazy.
You really don't stop running. I mean, AJ and I, the one morning, it was Thursday night, we did not.
The one thing you forget to put in your schedule is sleep.
Oh, dude, on Thursday night, AJ and I got to sleep at like 6:30 in the morning. We had about 3.5 hours sleep because we had to wake up for the Last Jedi panel, and we got onto we walked the whole line of people waiting for the Last Jedi, and it was over 2 miles long.
Wow!
And we walked all the way to the end until the line was done, and then we walked all the way back. I mean, we were promoting the show and taking videos of people. Like AJ's got a bunch of video of people that we just, had him go, this is so-and-so we got this little kid from England. He's like, this is Daniel from the UK, and you're listening to the Nerf Herder Council. Like, so we got all these videos and stuff. I mean, but again, we went to bed at 6:30 in the morning because you're always doing something, and you meet people and they're like, hey, let's go meet up for a drink or something. And the next thing you know, I mean, the convention ends at 7. So then all of a sudden you're hanging out, and you start hanging out at like 8:30.
Right.
And then when you get talking to somebody, especially if you're drinking, it's like
and now it's 2.
Yeah. I mean, bar closes at like 1, I think. And then, but you're finishing your drink. It's 1:30. You're like, oh crap. And then you got to go back to your hotel room. And if you're like AJ and I mean, we didn't do that this time we didn't do this time because we had people in the room. But at the previous celebrations, people would come back to our room. And then we're partying until like 4 in the morning, like 5 in the morning. I mean, it gets ridiculous. But again, it's that social aspect of it. There's always something going on. So
I didn't even have my phone on me the whole time, but I had it most of the time. And my step tracker, I think the lightest day of walking we did was like 8.5 miles.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Total for the 4 days was like 43 miles.
That's just insane. Yeah. All right, well, let's leave it there. I'm sure as we remember more down the road, we can, talk about it a little bit. But
we didn't even cover Rebels. I know there's
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to need a second show.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But thanks everybody for
you can't gloss over a 4-day event in 90 minutes.
No.
Right.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate it. To anybody listening to the show that actually met us at Celebration and you're now tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, we're sorry. We're sorry for bothering you, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget all of the regular places you can find us. The website, nerfherdercouncil.com. Our Twitter page at NHC Podcast. We do have our Facebook page you can find us at. Shoot us a friend request or a like or however the heck that works. I'm terrible at social media. You can find us on Stitcher, Google Play. Spreaker is our main avenue. We are on iTunes, so check us out there. The Uncontrolled Noise Network, a bunch of other places. So, yeah, thanks for checking out the show. We really appreciate it. You can send us feedback to feedback@nerfherdercouncil.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 440-987-WARS, which is 9277. Till next time, I'm your host, JT, at Dog Pound Jedi. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams, 579.
He's Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we'll catch you next time.
us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my nerf herder.
You my nerf herder.